Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be breaking down the best strategies from the European Grand Finals of Valorant's biggest tournament to date, First Strike. These include solo spots, overpowered agent picks on each map, and everything else that we've uncovered from the new Valorant meta. Trust me, you guys will want to watch this until the end, and if you want to improve, stay up to date with the meta, and learn how to reach the top of the scoreboard in your games, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and like the video. Alright, jumping straight into the European Grand Finals, we have Team Heretics against Summon FC. Now, if you're wondering who these teams are, well, despite being relatively unknown, they were able to defeat the more traditional European top teams like Team Liquid, FunPlus Phoenix, and G2 Esports. And this had nothing to do with luck. Both teams performed fantastic, and the winner of this series will definitely be crowned the new Rank 1 team in Europe. Map 1 was played on Ascent, and after all the games played, we're definitely seeing the strongest team composition for this map, at least in Europe, and what the pros consider to be the most effective ways to approach attack and defense. Heading into round 1, Heretics start on attack, and that's definitely to our benefit, as they are likely the best attacking team in the game right now, and there's a ton for us to learn from them. Firstly, they typically start out rounds with a very passive default. The goal here is to maintain vision of the common areas the defenders can push from. This accomplishes two things. One, if the defenders push, then they can get picked off, and two, since the defenders can't push, it limits the amount of intel that they can gather. You can then see, as it gets to around the 1 minute mark, they begin to group as a team and look to hit a site together. By the way, this is how the best teams are approaching pistol round, making sure to group as 5 on attack, looking to use their number advantage to overwhelm defenders lacking armor, utility, or weapons needed to multi-kill and hold the push. Now, if there's only one thing you take away from this round, it's this. When you take B site as attack on Ascent, you need to always have at least one person stay back in B main in this cubby. This is the key in successfully winning the post-plant fights, as you are always threatening to peek and shoot the defenders from behind as they try to retake. You can see here, it also just wastes a ton of time for the defenders if they do choose to take the fight, since they then have to push you and take you out before they can actually enter B site and try to defuse. There was also this unique off angle we kept seeing the top pro teams use on defense to great success that we can all use in our own ranked games. Instead of just holding the angle at the start of the round into B garage or pushing into the cubby, they actually hold this off angle in this position here. Notice how far back it is from the corner, while Omen is much closer to it when he peeks. This gives Jet what's called angle advantage, letting her see Omen much earlier than he sees Jet. This will give you an edge in reaction time, as well as just catching your opponents off guard by being in this unexpected spot. Again, the very next round we see Summon FC play Sova there this time, and he gets a pick on Killjoy to great success. Throughout this tournament, I've seen teams play this specific angle, and the defenders are winning gunfights here at around 80% of the time or higher, so I highly recommend integrating it into your own play. Next up, I want to show you how insanely strong Sova is on Ascent. Check out this attack by Heretics. Sova recon bolts into sight and catches both the enemy breach and Sova with it. He then uses his ultimate. This is to hopefully do damage or get a kill, but also to just push defenders off common angles and force them to run away. Notice how Heretics follow this up with standard smokes on CT and Market, Omen throws Paranoia at the bomb site, and they all flood in. There was nothing too fancy here by the other agents, it was really just Sova setting up the standard B take for his team. The other huge takeaway from this game is that the top pro teams all approach attacking A site almost all the same way, and it's super strong. Firstly, it's important that you don't make noise and just walk yourself into A main. This way, the enemy doesn't rotate too early or start throwing down utility like Omen smoke immediately. Then, once you're in position to peek into A site, you throw one smoke on switch. From here, 3 or more attackers just swing and peek into A site. They don't actually push in, they all just hold the angles and look to pick any defenders that try to peek them. You can see in this round, Jet peeks A heaven and gets gunned down. And once you get that pick, it's time to flood into sight while the enemy is a man down. But just as important is how you play the post plant. Remember how before we talked about how it's mandatory to let one player hang back in B garage when playing the post plant on B site? Well, it's the same idea on A site. You need at least one player to be playing in A main. Throughout the pro games, we've seen how key this is in preventing the retake, since once your teammates in sight make contact, you can swing out and shoot the attackers from behind. At the same time, if your teammates in sight begin to die, you can then play passive in A main. You wait for the defenders to tap the bomb to defuse it, you then either throw utility from A main to prevent the defuse like Killjoy Nanoswarms or Sovos Shock Darts, or you just jiggle peek off the tap to kill the diffuser since the default plant spot is out in the open. Heretics looked so good on attack, demonstrating a mastery of the map Ascent. Just check this out, they start out round 9 with their default setup, spread across the map, holding passive angles, watching for any defender aggression. Then, as the 1 minute mark approaches, they begin to silently group together towards a site of their choice. Typically, they group as 4 and have one dedicated lurker to cause chaos on the flank. In this case, it's Jett. Now pay attention to this coordination and timing, as this is key to playing the lurker role. As heretics owl drone into B site, showing they are potentially hitting it, Jett starts to peek more aggressive into catwalk. And think of this moment from the enemy team's perspective. They don't know which one is the real attack. Is Jett with her whole team on catwalk looking to hit A, or is the team waiting in B garage looking to push in off the owl drone? Jett gets the kill on breach, and suddenly Summon FC are lost. You can actually see them running back and forth in their spawn, and the Jett committing to rotating to A site. I mean, this is a natural choice. Breach just died, and for all they know, heretics are going A with the bomb right now. Instead, heretics execute on B site, and just look at what Jett does. She holds this angle through mid. Now, if any enemies try to rotate to or from market, well then they're going to get picked off. Also, as we mentioned, check out the post-plant positioning on B site. Heretics make sure to dedicate that one player to B garage cubby. Heretics ended up dominating this first half 11-1. What we then got to see when they swapped sides was why the pro meta has evolved into the defense playing retake on A site. Take note of how Summon FC are attacking A site. Same idea as we highlighted before, only one smoke goes down on switch. They then have 4 teammates just watching the entire site from A main. Jett then moves in to clear the site, and once it's cleared, the rest of the team moves in to plant. Keep in mind that heretics just gave up the site. This is what it is called playing retake. They are letting them get the plant down and then looking to push in and defuse. It seems that pro teams are feeling that A site is just too difficult to hold against the standard A execute, and that you're better off just letting them plant and then retaking as a team. We can see Summon FC making sure to have at least one player in A main, but we then see just how important it is to smoke out A main on the retake, denying that important position. With A main smoked, they then look to time their push together, flooding in from both A heaven and switch. This overwhelms the site players, and they successfully get the defuse. I genuinely think heretics might be the best team on Ascent right now, and it showed as they won the map 13-1. Alright, heading into map 2, we were treated with the brand new map Icebox, which neither teams have ever played a pro match on. Surprisingly, despite this, they both had nearly identical team compositions, going with Viper, Jett, Killjoy, and Sage. I'm sure that they put in a ton of practice and both came to this meta. Heretics then chose Raze as their 5th, while Summon FC chose Sova. I think that this is a glimpse into what's going to be close to the Icebox meta at a high level. Firstly, Viper is insanely valuable in Icebox and is likely the best controller pick. This is for 3 reasons. First, being her frankly overpowered wall lineups on attack. There are 2 lineups the pros are using. The first is on mid and is the most common one. This pretty much smokes out everything mid and lets the attackers get free control of such a valuable part of the map. The second is on B site. This denies vision at a ton of different angles and is really powerful due to how you plant on B site. You pretty much always just want to go for this default plant spot and then just fall back to yellow and green container. And the second reason are her post-plant lineups with Snakebite and her Poison Cloud. B site is hard to hold for defenders on Icebox, and you will often be in post-plant scenarios. By placing your Poison Cloud on top of the bomb, and then when the enemy defuses throwing a Snakebite and repeating when they go to defuse next, it basically forces the enemy to push into your position that has great crossfires. And lastly is her ultimate, which honestly is considered pretty trash tier on other maps, but is super strong on Icebox due to how tight together all the entrances are into site. You can either use it on defense to just get complete control of a key choke point, such as heretics look to do to deny entry into B site on round 12. Summon FC also did the same thing on their defensive half, using Viper ult to instead deny entry onto A site. Or you can use it on attack to, again, get even more control of the post plant, both of which we saw both teams use to great success in this game. The other pick that may surprise you is Sage, but she has far too many good walls on this map. For example, you can do a vertical wall in tubes that just completely shuts down any push by the enemy, as they have to destroy every single portion of your wall to get through. By far her strongest wall though is also her simplest, using it to get a safe plant on B site on attack. From here, you can then just fall back to these standard post plant positions at containers. And when you combine this with the previous Viper wall, you start to see just how difficult it can be to hold B site from attackers. Another sleeper pick on Icebox is Raze, and if you're someone who wants to play more of a duelist style, then I highly recommend her. She accomplishes 2 main things on Icebox. First, you have to understand that Icebox is borderline claustrophobic. And this means Raze gets insane value on her ultimate, as enemies can essentially get trapped as you ult in. Icebox also has a lot of verticality. This gives you a lot of double satchel ult combos that are nearly impossible to deal with. At the same time, there are a lot of double satchel plays you can use to just entry into sight and get into unexpected positions. The second thing that she accomplishes is clearing angles. Icebox has a ton of little cubbies and angles people can be hiding in, and her boombot helps her deal with that while entry fragging. And finally, the last pick I want to go over is Sova, as it can be a bit confusing that we're seeing him pop up in some pro games. In many ways, Sova is kind of bad on Icebox. All of the different angles and geometry result in his recon bolt being easily avoided and not giving you a ton of intel. At the same time, the verticality of Icebox makes his ultimate extremely hard to hit consistently. However, he has one ability that has insane value on Icebox, and that is his Owl Drone. With all the hidden spots and 50-50 angles there are on Icebox, this can be one ability that just makes attacking sites so much easier. And that's pretty much why pro teams are picking Sova on Icebox, mainly just for his Owl Drone on attack. So hopefully now you have a much clearer picture of the Icebox meta. Also, I just want to take a moment to highlight how valuable this cubby is on B site on defense. The amount of times I've seen this spot get paid off in pro games, my god. There are a couple of different ideas to it. First, you can just hide in there by yourself and look to catch opponents off guard. But the better way is to get a teammate to play yellow box and jiggle peek to distract and pull attention from the attackers. This will result in an extremely effective crossfire, so highly recommend trying out this spot in your own games. In the end, Summon FC win the map 13-7 over Team Heretics using the strategy shown and tie the series 1-1. So we headed into the third map, Haven. Heretics are actually undefeated on Haven with a 100% win rate, but Summon FC are also very strong on it with an 89% win rate. This map, much like the series, and most of Heretics' games, is a highlight reel on just how insanely good the pro player, Lowell, is on Sage. This guy is bringing back the Battle Sage, as he top frags in most games for his team. I just wanted to use this map as an opportunity to show you how he's able to accomplish this. First, one trick he consistently uses is to create these little pockets with his walls. What this does is basically creates a hidden cubby that you can peek out of to catch opponents off guard when they move into sight. He also plays gunfights extremely well. Check out how he plays Sage in this retake scenario. He makes sure to play the second man. This means he lets Ray's entry into the site first, then when she makes contact, swings on the enemy that shoots at her and is distracted. Great, now he's hidden behind the box, and again, as soon as his teammate makes contact, he's making sure to swing out and get that trade kill. He eventually ends up in a 1v2 scenario, and look at how he outplays this Omen. He goes for a jiggle, but now Omen knows where he is, so how is he going to clutch this? Well, he has the awareness to switch to his classic and go for a jump peek right click over the box, then swaps to his Spectre and swings to finish him. He has res and uses it to now turn the round into a 2v1 in his team's favor. It's these types of plays with Sage that ended up coming in clutch for Heretics throughout the tournament. Now, the fact that he has his Sage ult in this scenario isn't just luck. One of the keys to Lowell's success is that he aggressively plays for ult orbs on both defense and attack. For example, we see him right as the game starts looking to farm them at a long. Throwing the slow out, Sova recon forces him to fall back for a moment, but then on the minimap we see him then peek and go for the orb. He's using his slow orb to prevent the enemy from moving into A or swinging on him fast as he takes the orb. Additionally, the amount of rounds that Heretics stole away from Summon FC and other pro teams in this tournament using Sage Wall in the retake is pretty crazy. Like, check out this retake scenario where Heretics are running out of time and need to flood into sight. They get a few kills, but need to stick the defuse as they have no time left. In most scenarios, the diffuser will just get spammed through the smoke at short and killed here. Instead, a Sage Wall comes out of nowhere to block off the angle at short, letting Heretics focus all their attention at holding long, and Sova gets the protection he needs to get the clutch defuse. Heretics also showed the best way to deal with retake scenarios on C site. You basically have two choices as the defenders looking to retake. The first being to smoke off C long when you go for the retake. The reason why this is important is that it's extremely common for attackers to plant the spike so that they can see it from C long, then send one or two of their players to play from there. By smoking off C long, you pretty much guarantee that you're going to cut off some of the attackers from helping their teammates when you inevitably flood in from Garage and CT in an attempt to overwhelm them. The second approach is to send a flanker to C long. In this round, we see Summon FC executing on C site successfully. In the meantime, Lowell on the Battle Sage pushes the flank and looks to get to C long, that super valuable location for attackers on the post plan. You can see just how strong this flank can be, catching the attackers off guard since they have to watch the CT and Garage pushes. Additionally, they just came from C long and will mistakenly think it's safe there. Importantly though, is that after these two surprise kills, Sage smartly plays safe, only going for quick jiggles for intel. She's waiting for her teammates to push in, and once they do, she will then swing to shoot the attackers from a completely different angle, pulling their attention and allowing the other teammates to overwhelm them from the other angles at the same time. Heretics took the map Haven in convincing fashion 13-5, having a 2-1 lead in the series heading into the final map Bind. If Heretics win this game, they win the tournament, take the trophy, and the $40,000 prize. Both teams were more than competent on Bind, Heretics with a 93% win rate, and Summon FC with a 82% win rate. However, they also had two distinct different approaches to the map. Heretics look to rock the Brimstone and Sage combo. The idea is that with Brimstone you can place down 3 smokes all at once, which is useful on bind since often you want to execute really fast onto site. At the same time, he has his ultimate to hit key spots that can result in free kills like lamps at A site or elbow on B site. Now for Sage, they will place her in showers on defense and wall off the orb at the start of every single round, looking to farm those ult orbs to get Sage ult up as much as possible. Summon FC instead go with the new meta pick of Viper on bind with an Omen, which is unique as usually teams that take Viper on bind don't usually take a second controller. In terms of Viper setup on attack, Summon always plays the standard wall down at the start of the round. This will cut off the sight lines defenders will have on the left hand side of the site. If they actually want to commit to A, then they will use this Poison Cloud lineup where you jump up on this basket, move into the leftmost corner, aim at the corner of this building and then the wire above it. The nice thing about this Poison Cloud is it will block the sightline from A heaven, while also being easy to pick up to reposition on top of the bomb for the post plant, or simply just plant inside it. In terms of Viper on defense, it's all about this one-way lineup on short A. Walk into this wood line on the wall, then aim at this top left brick on this wall by the teleporter and then left click. This will give you a one-way smoke to spot enemies from this spot into short A. However, you typically just fall back into this cubby spot and play from here. If anyone tries to push through your smoke, you have a one-way smoke to spray them down without them seeing you. At the same time, if the enemy just tries to rush through, you can throw down snake bites to help stop them. So jumping into round 1, we saw Summon FC on attack with fantastic high-level rotations using the teleporters. First, they send 3B long. Notice how they have 2 players watching the flank. Both Viper and Omen are watching the short A and Showers pushes respectively. This is so important to do if you plan on doing a fake attack to bait rotations. If they were all 5 stacked on B, then if a defender pushes out of A site, suddenly when they do rotate, they can get killed from unexpected angles. So they first begin making noise B long, then have 2 take the B long teleporter. The defenders can hear the teleport and so will now be thinking an A hit is possible. The attackers then begin to use abilities, in this case Sova's Owl Drone, to sell that they're hitting A site. And notice how again, when they rotated A, how they left Cypher watching for any pushes from B site. This is what allows them to begin creeping back to B site without the risk of being spotted or caught out by an enemy. The next part is what's most important. They kept 2 on short A to use abilities to sell the A hit. Omen throws a smoke on the truck in sight. Then he throws a smoke on A heaven. Sova shoots his recon bolt into the site, and then Omen even uses his paranoia. This convinces the defenders that Summon FC are going to execute onto A, with 4 defenders now holding site, but it was a fake and the B-long players begin to flood into B. As this happens, Sova on short A takes the teleporter to flank Hookah as the B-long players are moving into sight. Suddenly, the defending Cypher has to worry about possible gunfights on both sides of him. Sova ends up getting the kill on Cypher, and this allows Summon FC to get the spike down on B site for free. Speaking of B site, we saw Pora of Heretics show a great anti-strat. You see, Summon FC were using this common tactic of smoking the top of container with Omen, and then teleporting into the smoke from Hookah to great success. So Pora adjusted to this by placing his utility inside of Hookah, and then simply standing inside the smoke itself. This not only let him kill Omen as he teleported, but also let him kill another attacker that got revealed by one of his tripwires. Something else that's important to highlight is that a huge strength of the Viper pick is her ability to win post-plant scenarios on attack. Just check this out. Summon FC got the plant down on A site, and now the defenders are looking to retake. However, as you can see in the corner of Sova's vision, the Poison Cloud Snake Bite combo prevents the defenders from being able to defuse, even getting a kill on the enemy Brimstone. Now Sova is in a 1v3, and even after he gets a kill on Cypher, what does he see when he turns around? That's right, a second Snake Bite has landed, and he has no chance of defusing. The setup Viper used in this game was to place the Poison Cloud on top of the bomb, and then retreat to this corner in short A. Once here, he aims at this spot on the leaf to land his Snake Bites to cover the spike. It's important to note that once he shoots his last Snake Bite, he will immediately rotate to Showers, where he'll have this angle on any diffusers. Despite all of this was not enough for Summon FC to get past Team Heretics' defense, with us seeing a ton of rounds where individual players stepped up to clutch it for Heretics, such as this case of Nukai on the Operator with Raze. He gets the opening pick off Cypher's tripwire. Then, he's able to spot out an attacker trapped outside of Showers, which he punishes with a grenade. He then starts raining down the one-shot cannon from heaven, taking the rest of Summon FC down. This all resulted in Heretics heading into the attacker side up 8-4. Heretics were able to pick up a few rounds on attack, but then started to hit an absolute brick wall on B site. Look at how insanely well Jack plays this as Cypher. He's hiding behind this box in B site when an Owl Drone moves overhead and spots him. I'm pretty sure 99% of players would now die in this position. Instead, he activates his first cage to move to safety inside the container. Then, as he hears the enemy stage push through the cage, he activates the left one to sneak into that. What's key though is that he doesn't wait for the cage to just drop and expire, as he'd be a sitting duck. He pushes through the cage to get an unexpected pick on Brimstone, then moves back into his cage for cover as he reloads, falling back into this cubby to look for the pick on Sage that pushed into sight. All of this stalls the push to buy time for his teammates to rotate. He finally gets a pick on the Raze in Hookah, and we see how pivotal he was in holding the defense of B's site. Next round, Heretics look for that B hit again. Just like before, Jack activates his cages and plays safe in container. What's different this time though, is that Heretics decide to bull rush the site, and here we see a fantastic wallbang lineup by Jack inside the container. This lineup will hit anyone trying to push into sight as well as towards elbow. He headshots Brimstone through the wall, and shortly after, even gets a kill on the Sage from the same wallbang spot inside of the container. This B-site hold by Jack was key in getting Summon FC back in it, and so we're now on round 23. The game is tied 11-11, and this is the most important round of the game, as Heretics have 4 spot looking for the win. They end up deciding to hit B once again, and we see Jack playing the setup of a cage on each side of the container. The enemy Cypher actually jumps through his cage and somehow is able to win the ensuing gunfight. And with Jack finally falling on B site, Heretics are able to get that spike down, get into their post-plant crossfires, and with B site being one of the hardest sites to retake, they end up taking the round. This leads into round 24. If Heretics win this round, they win the entire tournament. If Summon FC win the round, then it will go into sudden death. Heretics lead with a push towards B site, sending 4B long, while their Cypher lurks and watches for any pushes from the defense at A. Jack switched up his setup though, choosing for a more aggressive cage on B long, and as Raze walks through it, it triggers the cage noise and Jack lands a sick headshot at the sound location. However, as usual, Lowell has ultimate on Sage, so Heretics look to play for the res on Raze. At this point, they take the teleporter as 3, and we can see how important it was to keep Cypher on the flank watching for any defensive pushes to keep this rotation safe. Despite there being only 45 seconds left, look at how Summon FC are hesitant to over-rotate to A site with Viper and Omen moving back to B. This is due to all of the rotations and fake attacks Heretics have been using throughout the tournament. It's here we see the benefit of the Brimstone pick by Heretics. He ults lamps to prevent any defenders from being inside there, then drops smokes instantly to cut off all the sightlines from A heaven and site. This is what allows them to get control of short A and push in safely for the plant. They are even able to get a kill on Mo, who decided to move back into lamps after the Brimstone ult expired. Heretics are now 5v4 in a post-plant scenario, and I just want to highlight how key it is to have Showers control as attackers after you plant the spike on A. Look at Doma in this position. If they didn't have to worry about any Showers player, then Summon FC could just group up and look to swing towards short A from sight while also swinging into lamps. But because Heretics have shower control, it slows down the push. They're constantly having to check this left side at showers for enemies, unable to push forward towards the spike. We can see on the minimap shortly after, as the defenders start pushing in, Doma starts trying to move forward but is forced to check showers and loses the gunfight. Now what do we see? Jack is in the same spot. He wants to push forward to help his team, but he has to first clear out these showers angles. He's able to get the kill on Raze, but then if you check the minimap, you can see the attacking Cypher in showers swings and gets the trade kill. Now, as you see, Omen swings out and loses this fight to Sova, but what you have to realize is that Sova is able to watch this angle because of the Showers player. Otherwise, he'd be getting swarmed from 2 different angles at the same time. And as we jump to the last remaining player of Summon FC, we can see how Viper still can't push forward, having to clear that Showers player, who then is able to pick him off and win the round, the match, and the entire tournament. So if you find yourself losing the post plant on an A site as attack on bind, just think of what Heretics did to win the tournament. Play for shower control. This tournament was truly insane and definitely lived up to the hype. Never would I have expected for the finals to be Heretics against Summon FC, instead expecting at least one major European org like G2, FunPlus Phoenix, or Liquid to make it to the finals. Given the absolute gauntlet Team Heretics had to go through in order to take this victory, I think it's fair to say they are the new rank 1 team in Europe, dethroning G2 esports. They showed versatility, depth in strategy, and the ability to handle pressure and come back from losses. I guarantee a lot of the top teams will learn from this and be forced to step up their game, so I could not be more excited for the future of Valorant esports. And remember, if you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank you've always wanted, then check out our hyper improvement system at SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. And we spent a ton of effort on this video, so if you want to show your support and encourage us to create more content like it, then like, subscribe, and leave a comment below on whether or not you think Heretics will continue to show this dominance in the next Valorant tournament. And a special thank you from all of us here at SkillCapped for watching until the end, and we'll catch you in the next one.